next storyteller is also was here last year, and he said to me, "I'm a poet. I'm a collage artist. I write a lot of things in notebooks in my truck." He's a fascinating individual and Worthy. We're really glad you came back to join us again. So let's give it up for Mr. Worthy Evans.
Can you? Okay, it's on. I had it made. I was a recent college graduate. I had my bachelor's degree of arts, Bachelor of Arts degree in history, which meant that 30 years down the line, I could really make some smart aleck comments on Facebook when it comes to flags. But in 1994, it didn't mean squat. I lived in Charleston, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So, enlisted in the Army. Yeah, I had it made. Basic training, maybe the first 10 minutes was a little off-putting. They start getting in your face. I kind of liked it. I really did. I mean, gosh, it was like so many orders and commands. I had instant structure in my face. And for a person who didn't have any structure, I liked college. College was okay. I loved my professors, but I didn't do probably what I should do. I was not a nerd. I was really dysfunctional. So the Army was great. It showed me how to do things. It gave me a lot of tools. It gave me a lot of tools. Focus. I at one time, I knew every Army cliche that you could ever have. Adapt and overcome. Don't cheat your body. All of this stuff that having to do with physical training, mental training, staying up all night to do things, attention to detail. That was the first thing I remember was the attention to detail thing. I remember the pack of batteries that the drill sergeant held in his hand when he pulled it out of my sack, and I should have taken the wrapper off of it for whatever reason. And you know, that's when they shake you down and they throw all of your stuff on this square of concrete, and you have to pick it up one by one and put it back in your bag. It's a little exercise. Welcome to the Army exercise. So, yeah, the Army was tough. I had my ups and downs with it, basic training. But after a couple of weeks of it, and you learn how to shoot, and you learn how to march, and you learn how to do your keep your 5 meter intervals when you're marching, and all of this stuff, and loading your packs, and obeying the packing list that you have. You know how to do things. And my whole life was searching to figure out what do I do in any sort of situation, like a story slam. So I had it made. I was in the Army. I got to my permanent duty station in Fort Hood, Texas. And it was a little scary at first. It was really weird. Charleston Flat, Charleston, Marine estuaries, Fort Hood, mesas, where Comanches used to wander around. Now, Abrams tanks are whooping off my back porch, pretty much. It was total. It was a shock. It was a difference, and I liked it. I was not a fan of Charleston. I lived there. I've done my time. It's a nice place. I have good friends there that I'll have the rest of my life. I can't live there. But anyway, I digress. I was in the Army, and I found my home. I had this third floor room in a barracks, and I was doing my things. I wasn't going to be a career person. I knew that. But I found that I could do something for a while and get my head straight and figure out what to do afterward. Everything was great. I was actually learning how to run. I actually figured out how to run. I was enjoying it. I was still falling out of things because I'm not a runner, but I had a lot of fun doing it. Being in the Army with my Army buddies. They knew I had a Bachelor of Arts degree. First sergeant put me in charge of the motor pool, battalion motor records, keeping in track of everything. I knew everybody's social security number. And that wasn't like I'm going to cheat on them, but I knew how to identify them as they come up, versus what was on the cards. It was fascinating how this person who was a history major just suddenly sort of fell into this pickle suit, brick, cinder block thing that was such a stark difference to Charleston. but I did, and I liked it. And it got to where everything was great. I had all the tools. I had all the structure that I needed. And then I fell. I took a hit. I don't know. Sometimes for a while, I focused so hard on that half a second drop that I did when I was leaning in to open a door. Leaning in to open a door at 6 o'clock in the morning so I could get the guide on so we could have our dadgum formation. What happened was I hit my side of my knee, and before that it buckled. I don't know for sure what, but it hurt like anything. I could not put any weight on it. They sent me to the clinic, the TMC. They didn't give me crutches. I don't know why they didn't give me crutches. I was really upset. My knee was the size of a softball. It was huge. It was, looking back on it, it was sprained, it was traumatized, and I needed to stay off it for a while. They put me on a 2-week profile, no PT, no physical training at all. So, as you can see, I'm a heavy guy. It didn't work out that way. I got heavier. I stopped. I couldn't do anything. I gained weight. They feed you potatoes every dadgum day. And I failed a PT test. And then I failed another one. And then they took my motor pool job away. And this college graduate who knew a thing or two about a lot of things that I could relate to, that I could converse with, was spending his mornings painting the curbside of the company parking lot. It was ash colored, off white, more tan. And I had nothing. I didn't have anything. They were going to get me out of the Army, but, you know, a little split-second knee pop ended up being 8 months of waiting. And that in itself was a tool. I got to really learn what the Army was. I sat there painting my curb, doing odd jobs around the company, and feeling really sorry for myself, sitting around in a car near the bowling alley, reading the Dallas Morning News every day. And that was not the best of me. But I got out. The day I got out was fantastic. Custer got killed 120 years before then. On that day, June 25th, 1996. 1876, by the way, Little Bighorn. I knew that because I was a history major. I told people that, and they're like, "Whoa, who's Custer?" Whatever. So there I was in Texas, and I flushed the toilet in my head. I had to, because if I dwelled on something, I knew that would lead me to a whole bunch of other things. So I hit the road, hit up I-35, went to Dallas. Yes, I stopped at Dallas. Yes, I went to the 6th floor museum. I went to see where Kennedy got shot. There was one shooter. My goodness, it was the easiest shot, knowing my other thing. Yeah, 3 shots, boom, 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 easy. But that was momentous in itself. But then I hit the road, and I got in the car, stopped at Oklahoma City. I wanted to go to Oklahoma City because the year before, I remember seeing in the Dallas Morning News the bombing of the Murrah building. It impacted me a lot. I'd never at that time had understood a domestic person living in the United States could do such a thing. And I remember being in the Army. Here I am, Army with my Army buddies with our guns and everything, and this happened. And well, what do you attack? So all that was in my mind. So I stopped there. At the time, the memorial was not built. It was less than a year after it had happened. They still had a chain link fence, and on that chain link fence was loaded with teddy bears, stuffed animals, mementos, flowers, letters to parents who weren't going to come home anymore. Not unlike me, I was on my way home. It was very quiet and dank on this one street that was in the middle of town, and on one side you still had this building or a storehouse that was still pocked with bomb material. And then there was just a paved or a mowed down place where the Murrah building stood. And I stood there for a while. as in Oklahoma City or in the Midwest, it always felt like I guess it always feels like a tornado is going to come, but I felt it. It was a very cold, hard, heavy moment. And I thought about that. My little stupid thing with my knee did not matter. So I hit the road again. I had, I think, $100 on my discharge, $120 on my discharge, and I spent it on a hotel at Fort Smith and a chicken dinner at Waffle House, and I think some kind of breakfast at the Waffle House, and I hit the road again. And I made it in time to Memphis about noon, and by then, I think I had $16 to my name. None of this stuff. I had a little credit card, gas credit card, whatever. But anyway, and I spent $9 on an admission to Graceland, and I saw it. I saw Graceland, and I saw, among other things, the only thing that hit me was the lineup of the Elvis suits. And the Elvis suits, you know, they started off small, and they grew bigger. And one thing that I noticed was you change a lot in life, but you don't worry about it. You just get a bigger suit. So all this to say, I had this in mind. I went home. I found a job. I started learning how to write for real and learn to remember what it was and think about how things happen and how things can not matter so much. Thank you very much.